27%. 27%. 27%. That is what is the current Rotten Tomato score for the new movie, Him, starring Marlon Wayans and Tyriq Withers. I also want to do a little segment I call movies that scored higher on the tomato meter than this movie. We have Sydney White from 2007 starring Amanda Bynes at 36%.
Aww, he's like a kid who just found out there's no Santa Claus.
What? Next we have Duplex 2003, Drew Barrymore. That is at 35% on the tomato meter.
All right.
Okay. The Lake House from 2006. That's Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock in the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen in my life, and that's sitting at a 35%. Now, I want to remind you, this movie is at a 27%. So let's look at some other movies that currently sit at 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. Green Lantern from 2011 starring Ryan Reynolds, heralded as being the worst superhero movie of all time, probably. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time from 2010, and Twilight Saga New Moon.
Bella! Where the hell have you been, Loca?
You mean to tell me that Twilight Saga New Moon has the same score as this movie? That's crazy. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. But I had a pretty good time with this movie. I think that my overall view of it is it was a lot of style over substance or plot. It is a very stylish movie. The cinematography is really good. There's some really gorgeous shots in there. The soundtrack is awesome. It's like the perfect blend of NFL meets cults. I did have some gripes with it, and we'll talk about that, but overall, I would rate this movie maybe like a 6.9 to a 7.1. It's kind of one of those movies like The Neon Demon. The plot and the dialogue isn't necessarily the selling point of the movie, although I do think the plot and dialogue from this movie is better than The Neon Demon. But let's get into it, because this movie has been very divisive. From what I've read of the people who have seen it, is basically you either love it or hate it. All right, so let's get into the plot a little bit. I am going to put spoilers at the end of this movie because it was kind of unavoidable when talking about this movie, and I think a lot of people out there kind of just maybe don't want to see this movie and just kind of want to watch a review and know what happens, and so I'm gonna do that. Tyriq Withers stars as Cameron Cade, a rising star quarterback. Cameron is a generational prodigy. He's one of these players that just comes along every once in a decade or whatever. And he aspires to follow in the footsteps of his father's favorite quarterback, 8-time champion Isaiah White. And he is the quarterback for this bizarre team called the San Antonio Saviors. And despite their name being the Saviors, their mascot is like a confetti monster with horns.
Bruh.
I don't hate it. I just want to know what the pitch meeting was like for mascots and how much cocaine was on the table that day. So Isaiah White is played by Marlon Wayans. He's basically the Tom Brady, okay? Let's not pretend like this guy isn't basically Tom Brady. He's got 8 rings. He's known as the GOAT, the greatest of all time for all you non-football people out there. And the movie even starts out with Cam as a little kid, and his dad has this whole like shrine set up to the San Antonio Saviors and all these pictures and little trinkets and like, and they're watching the game, and Isaiah White suffers an injury, a pretty bad injury. It looks like his leg is literally dangling there like a booger off a nose. Okay, I'm not gonna use that. Like a leg off a bone, okay? His dad starts talking to him about how like, see, that's what a real man does and a real player. you sacrifice everything. They still won the game, and that's what it is. Guts over glory, and all that fluff, you know? All that sports jargon. So now Cam's grown up, and he's this like legendary football player, very up and coming. So he's out practicing one day, and he's the last one on the field. And out of nowhere, this mascot for it's actually not the mascot. It's actually just like a goat man. Like a man kind of dressed like a goat and in furs. Goats with the fur. Sneaks up behind him. Out of nowhere, too. He's in the middle of a football field. Like, you would have to see this goat man come up on you. And he just appears out of nowhere, I'm telling you. Like, teleports there. And he hits him in the head with like a pickaxe. Okay? So Cameron suffers this brain injury. He has to get like stitches, staples in his head and stuff. And he's really concerned about his future because of this. So the night he's got bonked on the head was the night before the annual scouting combine, which I keep wanting to say Columbine, so that's gonna be a problem. He gets a call from his agent, who is Tim Heidecker, and he's Tim Heidecker in this movie. He's about what you would expect from a Tim Heidecker performance. I enjoyed it. Anyway, he gets a call from him, and the guy's like, listen, Isaiah White has invited you to his compound in the desert to train under him for a week, and he's gonna get you in tip-top shape. Your career in the league is not over. So Cam is very pumped up about this. So he says, yes, I will do it. Now this training compound, I'm pretty sure it's next door to Area 51. Like, it's so deep in the desert that you gotta wonder why. It's hot out there. Could we not have had it in like North Carolina, somewhere breezy? I don't know. Hawaii? So as he's arriving there, there's this giant group of like insane, crazed fans outside the compound who are obsessed with Isaiah and the team and stuff, and they're dressed very bizarrely, and their bodies are all painted, and they move very bizarrely. I gotta say, I did not like the fan aspect of this movie. They come into play later on, and I just think it was a waste of time, and they didn't fit with the rest of the vibe of the movie. He arrives to the compound, which looks like a giant butt, okay? Which makes sense because his wife is Julia Fox in this movie, and there's a lot of big fake butts in this movie. Pretty much every woman you see has a big fake butt. So I guess it makes sense that the compound itself is shaped like a big butt. And so he's walking into the tunnel, which would be the butthole. We see that there's some Amazon packages that have been delivered there. The poor Amazon delivery guy, I can't even imagine. On his way in, Cameron picks them up and brings them in, and we get kind of some insight into his character that he is a decent guy. So he gets into this compound. It looks like Kim Kardashian's house meets a museum, but with like football memorabilia and like animal skins and bones. He meets Isaiah, and it seems kind of like normal and chill at first. They kind of bond, and he's really excited because his dad was such a big fan. Like, he grew up watching this guy. The vibes are good. Over the next week, it's divided up into like 6 days. Each day is a different thing, like perseverance, being a monster, shit like that, like football shit, you know, like never taking breaks, dignity, whatever. One of the first people that he meets is Jim Jeffries' character, which I didn't even know Jim Jeffries was in this. I was very excited when I saw him. He plays the like sports medicine doctor, and I thought he was great in this. I liked his character the most, to be honest with you. I was pretty impressed. So the whole point of this compound trip is so that Isaiah can train Cam how to be just a fucking winner, just a beast, just a goat. And in order to do that, it progressively gets more alarming. Like, it starts out, he introduces these other guys who are gonna help train. They're like wide receivers and stuff, and they're gonna be catching the balls.
Who are they? Just gonna toss the ball around a little.
One guy volunteers to have his face set up in front of one of those, you know, those things that spin and they shoot the ball out? Like, we used to have them in volleyball. But you know what I'm talking about. Tennis balls and stuff, they shoot them out so that you can practice solo. So they're putting footballs in there, and this guy's taking them to the fucking dome every time the guys don't catch the balls that Cam is throwing at them. And he's pretty alarmed by it, but Marlon Wayans is like, no, like, you need to be paying attention, you gotta get your head in the game and stuff. And by the end of it, this guy's face is just done. It's bad, it looks bad, but he's seems in good spirits about it. Like, the whole thing is very bizarre, but Cam just kind of like goes with it because everybody else is like, this is fine, this is what we do. Things kind of start to descend into like a weird hell because the sports medicine guy is giving him these weird shots that have this like emoji face on it. And I'm like, what the hell is even that? The rest of the movie is kind of hard for me to remember, not because it's not memorable, but because it feels very dreamlike. I can't remember which scenes come before what scenes. Like, it's all very kind of fluid. And I'm pretty good at being able to see a movie and go scene for scene what was in it. Like, I have a pretty good memory for that kind of stuff, but not these that are very dreamlike. Can't really remember like which scenes come first. So I'm just gonna basically let you know that it progressively gets weirder. It gets more intense. Damon Wayans' character becomes less like a buddy and more just like a crazy psychopath that is harassing Cameron's character, and there's parts where he's encouraging him to cheat on his girlfriend. He puts a gun to his head and is like, if you can't hurt her feelings, then you'll never be a monster on the field. And it's just like, okay. Whatever, dude. It's the end of the week, and there's this party that Isaiah's wife, Julia Fox, who's like an influencer or something, is gonna take Cameron to, which basically has all of the head honchos of the San Antonio Saviors at the party, and they're interested in signing him because Marlon Wayans' character is possibly going to retire. Like, his contract is up, so he may retire, he may not. It's kind of up in the air. Cameron goes to this party, kind of like, he doesn't really want to, but once he hears that, like, you know, his future's kind of caught up in this, like, he kind of has to go, he goes. And at the party, he sits with all the head honchos. They're creepy, they're bald, they're old, they're weird, they're stinky, and they like cheers to his future. He runs into Jim Jeffries' doctor character, and he gives him a hug, and Jim Jeffries tells him to run.
Run.
And he's like, what the? But then he kind of gets caught up in the whole party of everything, and it's clear that, I don't know, they're either like plying him with drugs or liquor or whatever. The whole thing kind of becomes like a weird like rave scene where he's seeing different shit and he thinks he's vomiting up diamonds. And he goes to this head with the horns, kind of like the mascot looking thing, and he takes the head off, and Jim Jeffries' head is there on a platter, just there. And he kind of is like, whoa, throws up, and he just wakes up in bed the next day. Yeah. He ends up going to find Isaiah in his room where he watches tape. Like, the whole movie, he's like, no, I can't go. I'm going to watch some tape. I got to watch some tape. And the whole time I was thinking, what does watch some tape mean? Because it's not watching tape. But it turns out it is watching tape. Aww. And there's like a big eyeball in the ceiling, and the color part of the eye is just cheering fans. So I guess he just sits up there and is like, and he basically tells Cameron that there's this blood that he's been having put into him that was the blood of the goat before him and the goat before that, all the way to the first goat. And essentially there's this like pact, I guess, with the devil. They never really explicitly say, but I don't think it's Jesus. The goat that's leaving gives the blood to the new goat, and it's like makes them extra spicy or whatever on the field. In order for Cameron to become the new goat, he must defeat Isaiah in battle. So it's very medieval. They begin to fight. Pretty brutal. Looks like Cameron's beating the shit out of Damon Wayans, but then Damon Wayans breaks Cameron's arm. But he doesn't give up. He doesn't give up because he's got that heart, coach. He's got heart, coach. And he takes a helmet and just bonks him. And I guess he's pretty much dead. So then he goes out into the practice field where all of the head honcho guys are waiting there for him to sign because he's just defeated the old goat. He's gonna be the new goat. His agent Tom is there. Elsie, Julia Fox's character, is there. They're all just kind of sitting on this like banquet table for him to come sign. So, you know, they're like, why aren't you signing? Why aren't you signing? Because he's just kind of standing there like, bruh. And it ends up coming out that not only did they, the gross, spooky old execs, arrange for his head injury to be done, which I guess the power of the devil made that goat man appear out of nowhere to hit him. They arranged all of that. And not only that, but they had been grooming Cameron for years to be Isaiah's replacement via his dad. So apparently there's this picture where his dad is like shaking hands with the owner of the team, this old creepy bald guy that's there at the table. And so his dad was like in on it and was always kind of grooming him to want to be like Isaiah and to, about how it's all about sacrifice and you have to sacrifice things for greatness and bleh. They also imply that his dad's death, which I haven't mentioned at this point, but like, yeah, his dad died and it's something he's sad about for a lot of the movie because he had a very close relationship with his dad. It's implied that his father's death was orchestrated because Cameron was thinking about not playing football anymore, and so they orchestrated the death of his father to keep him playing. It's like a lot of work. Why is it gotta be Cameron? I guess just because he's naturally talented. Like, they keep talking about how naturally gifted he is and stuff, I guess. But like, if the devil's power is good at all, it can make anybody good. Right? Like, is his power not that good? I don't know. What are you saying? Is it not that good of a power? Is it kind of weak? So instead of caving to their demands, he has this kind of like mental vision of like growing up and his dad and his mom and his family and all the people he loves, and he decides, nah, fuck that, and he just massacres everybody there. It's great. It's fantastic. The same pickaxe that they got him with, he's like throwing him down the field. Julia Fox falls on her own knife, so he didn't even have to kill her. She did it to herself on accident. He spares Tim Heidecker's character, but in the process, Tim Heidecker kind of gets dragged into the middle of this like pentagram and he just kind of explodes. So I don't know what that was about. I guess if the execs fail to sign the person, they explode. It's not clear. Anyway, so the whole end is just this fantastic massacre of him tearing down everybody, and he's walking out of the battlefield, bloody and victorious, and he's gonna carve his own way to success, okay? Because he's a good guy, and they've shown us throughout the movie that he is a good guy, like the Amazon packages and the not cheating on his girlfriend. I guess that's pretty much it. All right, final thoughts. I thought Jim Jeffries did a great job in this. I really enjoyed his presence. He actually kind of grounded it for me. I was very surprised. I think the plot suffered a little bit, especially in the middle area of the movie where I was telling you that it's kind of hard for me to describe the scenes because there were so many just dreamy, ethereal kind of what's going on scenes. But I thought that they were beautiful and they were well shot, and I don't mind that kind of thing. I like that. I like a stylish movie. I'm a stylish girl, okay? And I thought it had enough like blood and guts to not leave me like in want, you know? And I thought that the finale was big enough that it kind of made up for that. That's just me. But I guess I see why people listen, I can see why people maybe didn't like it as much as they wanted to, or what the trailer kind of made it seem like. But a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So there were some truly bizarre moments in general throughout this, which I'm a fan of bizarre moments. Towards the beginning of the movie, while Cam is coming out of one of the tunnels, I think this is like right after he gets hit in the head, or before, I can't remember. But there's just a guy in a big goat head with like, what looks like blood, but I guess it's just paint all over him, and he just goes, so what the hell was that? I've already mentioned this, but the mascot in general, why are they called the Saviors if their mascot is a bunch of tapeworms with a hat and boots and horns? But that goes into my next point, which there was a lot of like religious iconography in this movie. There's a whole part where Cameron is like in the middle and they're making this big like Last Supper image with him in it. And a lot of talk about, you know, sacrifice, and specifically Jesus. They talk a lot about like God and Jesus, which I guess is like a big thing with football for some reason. It's just America. Maybe how like football itself is a religion, and how people groom their kids from birth to root for specific teams or play for specific teams. I also like how at the end it's kind of implied that, you know, a lot of times these players and stuff don't have a lot of agency for themselves. These executives and the team owners and all the rich suits that are pulling the strings and stuff like that, and the football players are just like their puppets. And I like how it kind of implies that Cameron is taking his agency back from those people and, you know, doing things on his own terms. And I like that. It was cool. So again, I don't know why everybody's hating, but I liked it. I thought it was cool. If you're into stylish movies and you like football, it's pretty cool. So I'm not gonna say it's like the best movie I've seen in this past year. It's probably somewhere in the middle, but it's definitely not the worst I've seen. Let's be honest, you guys. There's some fucking bad movies out there. I don't think this is one of them. I don't know why it's getting raked across the coals so hard. I thought this one was, yeah, I thought it was good. Just good. Not pretty good, not decent, just good. Okay, well, this was fun. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good Sunday. Watch your football, I guess, if you want to. But I wouldn't. CTE is a growing concern in this country.